Which image will perform better on Instagram? Will it be the image on the left with no text, or will it be the image on the right with text on the image? It's so hard to tell. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words unless those words devalue the picture. So which will perform better on Instagram? Images with text or without text? Our social media scientists dug into the facts today, and the answer may shock you. Stay tuned, folks. It's the Social Media Lab.
Are you ready to use science to bust some myths in the social media ecosystem?
Great Scott!
Welcome to the Social Media Lab Live, brought to you by Agorapulse, where our social media scientists experiment on real accounts to crack the code on social media success for your business.
Type 5 to subscribe to the show.
Now your hosts, Owen Video and Scott Ayers.
Hey, welcome back to the Social Media Lab Live, where social media professionals like you get to bust the myths, rumors, and stories of social media marketing with
science!
That's right, and we're live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. PST, dual casting on Facebook and on YouTube, and you can join the tribe when you give me 5. That's right, type 5 into the comment section right now to join us in the Social Media Lab Lounge, where you'll get insider access, contribute to the show, and a whole lot of major perks designed specifically for social media nerds. Just type 5 into the comment section. Now, I'm Owen Video, your host, MC, and I'm here with the #1 social media scientist, my man, Mr. Scott Ayers. Scott, good morning, sir. How are you?
It's good morning. Good to see you. We're experiencing a little bit of winter today in Texas. Maybe our first day, probably our only day of winter, about 35 degrees. So it's a little chilly in the office today. So we want to ask you, if you're watching right now, early on the show, we appreciate you hopping on now. Our question of the day today is, what is your Instagram handle? So what is it? You can put in a link. You can put in the @ whatever. Tell us below in the comments. We're going to come follow you, Owen and myself, and the @Agorapulse Lab. That's our official account for the Social Media Lab on Instagram. We'll come over and give you a follow. So plug in your Instagram. Oh, look, there's @Owen and @Scott Ayers there on the screen. You can follow us. Yep. Plug in your Instagram account. We'll come follow you and see what you're up to on Instagram.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you over on there on that platform. I'm pretty much on Instagram every single day. It's my guilty pleasure. I would love to hear from you guys. How often are you on Instagram? Are you on Instagram a lot, a little, just for business? Let us know in the comment section below, and give us your Instagram handle. It would be great to hear from you. I'm going to guess that our favorite people are out there today, and I would be right. Naomi Nakashima is logging in. She says good morning. My man Rock Davis and Karen Glasser are logging in on Facebook. Also want to give a big Air 5-2 James L. Young, Danny Castillo, Joseph Woods, Catherine Jung, Cassandra Thompson, Jim Smith, and even more logging in on Facebook. Hey, we're pumped to have you here today, and we have a really great show for you today. We're going to be examining text or no text on Instagram. Which type of pictures will perform better? We're going to be digging into that in just a quick second. But I want to ask you, Scott, as sort of a general question here, does it matter? I mean, really, at the end of the day, like if no text performs better, does that mean you should have, like, every post should have no text, or are you still going to need to mix it up a little bit?
I think obviously you still got to mix it up. I think the goal of this test, and the reason we even ran this test, is we did a study once and talked about on here about photos versus graphics.
Yeah.
On one of our tests, and then it brought up a lot of people in the comments talking about, hey, I'm testing text overlaid on photos is doing really well, or some would say that it doesn't do very well. So we wanted to test it, and I think the importance of it is, if there's a possibility of either getting more reach and engagement or lowering your reach or engagement by doing one or the other, you need to know that. But I do think you should always mix it up. At the end of the day, if you post the same thing over and over and over and over again, you become like Sears, and you're basically non-existent. I just made that up. That was pretty good. Because the Sears in my hometown is gone now, and I hate it. It's my go-to store for my Craftsman tools, but they were boring.
Yeah.
They were the same
Super
ad,
boring.
the same catalog,
Super
everything,
boring.
the same even the same promotions
Yeah.
over and over again. I worked for them for a while. So you've got to mix things up a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to be non-existent like the Sears, the Toys R Us, those kind of things that are out there in the real world.
Yeah, I'm worried now that we're going to get an email from Sears that, some type of, slanderous lawsuit. But I know what you mean. I was recently in Chicago for an event out there, and, the entire Chicago River Architecture Tour, fascinating tour, by the way, and it was about as cold that day as it is right now in our studio. For those of you that don't live stream on a regular basis, you can't really have heaters or air conditioners going while you're live streaming. Otherwise, you get sort of this hum in the background that's constantly in the background, and you can hear the.
Right.
So it's like we have to kind of be in this place where we just turn all the heat and the air off. So I am freezing today, and I am out in California, so you can imagine it's probably 68 degrees outside.
That's cold.
Yeah, it's freezing out here. Actually, I think the weather told us it's 30 degrees this morning, which for Californians is people die in that kind of weather in California. There's an old couple cuddling each other, and they're found in their beds, like at the end of Titanic. Okay, that's probably enough. But back to my point about Chicago. There's the Sears Roebuck building, Woolsworth building was at these huge, monstrous buildings that are just abandoned because they didn't adapt to the times. And so adapting onto Instagram and knowing what's going to work and what's not going to work is really, really important. I also find this, Scott, and I'd love to hear from our audience if you guys agree on this, yes or no. Rock Davis is saying you've got to adjust for the scroll. Is you want to know what to expect from what you post. Okay, I'm going to say that again. You want to know what you should expect from what you post, meaning you might have a need as a business owner, right, to post something with text on it. But you should know this is not going to get as much reach as my non-text, or vice versa. As you guys know, I don't read ahead to figure out the results, and I don't know which is going to win today. So it's going to be very interesting to dig into this study, and we're going to go into it today. I want to welcome all of you guys watching us: Carrie Ray, Robert Gibson, Tim Chambers, Jan Husar, Orana Velarde, Chloe West, Rebecca Ward. Wow, great to see Natsim Beltrash logging in. It's Natsim Bel. My wife is laughing at me right now. She's over here doing administration work while we're streaming. I mispronounced his name on the last week's show, and I actually woke up, Natsim, at midnight, and my wife's like, "Why are you awake?" And I'm like, "I cannot believe I called him Beltrash on the air." But there, I just did it 3 more times for you, Natsim. Natsim is obviously a good friend of the show, and he has a wonderful sense of humor. Great to see you guys out there today. We have a very interesting show. We're going to be talking about text or no text on Instagram. And as always, I want to hear from you. Which do you think will win in our scientific study? Do you think it's the images with text? Write text in the comment section below. If you think it's no text, write no text in the comment section below. And if you're watching this on the replay, be sure to type replay so that we can come back and say hello. Okay, now I want to get started, but first, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsor over at Agorapulse. That's right, our show today is powered by Agorapulse, the #1 social media management tool for social marketers and small business. Hey, do you want to schedule your posts ahead of time? Maybe respond to comments from all different platforms in one easy-to-use interface and get more customers? Well, hey, then you need to go to getagorapulsenow.com. Get Agorapulse Now is your social media management solution. Toss your old software away and start your free trial of Agorapulse today. You're absolutely going to love this software. This is what we use for our business. This is what live streamers like Stephanie Liu uses for her business, and big companies use Agorapulse. So get agorapulsenow.com. Go get a free trial. Check it out. Play with it. Have fun with it. And, of course, if you have any questions, you can ask Scott about it.
I'll answer most of them, or send you to the smarter people who work for Agorapulse that can answer all of those questions.
I'm talking to Angela right now on the Agorapulse team. She's helping me with some of my Twitter posting on Agorapulse. Unbelievable. I ask a question within minutes, she's writing me back with,
Yeah.
with the solutions. I love that, guys. Go to
The support team is amazing.
Yeah, really, really great people over there. So we're excited to dig into our solution today, or to our hypothesis today. Okay, Scott, talk to us about your hypothesis for today's study.
Yeah, my hypothesis is just based on looking and trying to find some data, which I really couldn't find. All I could find was a lot of opinions on what they thought and how to do it. So my hypothesis was images without text receive more reach and engagement. I'm just thinking photos, because our last test we did photos versus graphics.
Yeah.
Photos did better. People didn't seem to like when we had just a text image on Instagram. So that's kind of what I'm basing the hypothesis on.
We got Jason Webster saying, if Dustin Stout says it's text, then I will follow. I definitely am more attracted, and I find from my own stuff that the images without text perform better. And it's actually very frustrating for me, because I am a talker. I have things to say, right? And so I get this great image of me, and then I'll put text on it. Or it's me in the studio and there's text on the TV screen behind me, which maybe the algorithm doesn't read as text, but I certainly, I think the viewer certainly sees it as text. And it frustrates me, because I find that sort of certain Instagram accounts, it's like a picture of a mug, you know what I mean? Or a picture of sort of like a work-at-home mom in her Uggs and a warm cup of cocoa, like, will outperform my greatest artwork. Yeah. Dustin W. Stout is saying these facts and opinions look so much alike, and he's asking you to name that movie. We'd love to hear from you in the comments section. If you guys have any questions today for Scott or myself, please ask them in the comments section. We'd love to engage with you as much as possible. Okay, so Scott, your hypothesis is that Instagram images without text receive more reach and engagement. I'm going to agree with you. That's what I believe is going to be the case as well. Talk to us about how you conducted this experiment. What did the posting copy look like? Did you use hashtags? What were sort of the parameters of how you're going to post?
Yeah, the first thing is we used 7 different test accounts that I've been using on a lot of our tests, and they're across a lot of different industries. We've got accounts that are animals, that are related to trucks, they're related to fitness. I've got 2 fitness-related accounts, and we've got a Paris tourism account. I think I jumped the gun, and look at Melissa getting those images popped up there really fast. And so we've got a varying amount, different kinds of accounts. That's the whole goal. We want to have multiple accounts across various industries, so that we're not testing the audience, we're testing the algorithm, and that's really key. Because if you just test on one kind of account, or one niche, you may be wrong. And so I think that's why you've got to have a varying, audience that you're testing. That way you kind of really know if you're testing the algorithm. So that's the first part. The other thing, as far as anomalies are concerned, we always make sure that we don't use any hashtags when we do these sort of tests, because hashtags are going to make you show up differently. It's going to show up to new people. We're probably just going to show up to our followers for this, because we're not using hashtags. We don't tag any Instagram users. We don't tag a location. We don't share these to Instagram stories, and we don't share them to any other social media networks. We just kind of leave it right there on Instagram, and we're not using it in ads. These are just purely organic posts. And oddly enough, you think we wouldn't have to say all these things. People just assume them. There's a lot of tests that people put out there that aren't really taking these anomalies into account, especially the ad part. There's a lot of social media marketers will talk about something, say it's good for everything, but they mix an ad in the middle of it. And so that you can't really do that with organic stuff. And so that's kind of why that's a lot of the anomalies that we used for this test.
Now, are we doing anything like it's just a straight image post? Are we doing 1080 by 1080 images, Scott? Are you doing 4 by 3 images? Give us the parameters of the actual images that you post, because how much space it takes up in the actual phone screen, I think, is really, really important.
Yeah, these were all 100% square images made just for Instagram. So they're a 1-by-1 ratio. So they're all 100% square.
Want to give a big shout out to my man Tony Christensen of Tony Does Ads is logging in right now. Tony, you do some stuff with ads. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section on does text or no text work any better with regards to an ad, and we'll have like a sub conversation going on down there. Rebecca Ward is saying, test this, please. If you hide your numbers, do they still work? What do you think she means?
Well,
Not exactly
I think what she means there, she means if you hide your hashtags in Instagram stories. We talked about that once before about, you can do the whole black text and hide it behind a photo. That would be interesting to test out. We've looked at possibly testing that. It's definitely a future one to do.
No, I think it's a great, and I don't generally care for hiding numbers. We work with brands and business owners who want to launch on YouTube and create their own live show like you're watching right now. And, when I go to their YouTube channels and I see that they're hiding their subscribers, right, it's kind of obvious that there's sort of a vanity thing there, right? Like either you feel like, mostly it's you don't feel like your subscribers reflect who you are, and so you hide those numbers. But at the same time, that same person will go on their blog or go on a podcast interview and talk about transparency and authenticity. It's true. If you're going to hide your numbers, you're going to lose people, period. Because even if you're small or smaller than you think you should be, I think hiding is worse, right? It's a worse thing to do. So I would be really careful there. Alfredo Togolo is saying, I don't use Instagram to promote my business. Alfredo, why the heck not? Your clients are all over Instagram. In fact, they're clamoring to learn more about Instagram, and so I'd love to hear.
What kind of business is he in?
Alfredo, why don't you share with us your business? But I believe he's a live streamer and live streams for churches and the faith-based community. So I'd love to know, Alfredo, what you're doing. In fact, if you're logging in right now on Facebook or on YouTube, tell us, what do you do? What the heck do you do? We'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Okay, so Scott, you've talked to us about what your hypothesis is, and you've told us how you're going to conduct the experiment. Talk to us about this. I find this really interesting. What accounts did you use here, right? Because you could easily, with the people that you and I know, we could easily, right, go to these big player accounts and test it from there. You went a different route. Talk to us about what accounts that you posted these images from.
Yeah, as mentioned, we use some test accounts that I have. Some of them are just my own passion accounts that I like to play with. Like I've got one that's all about semi-trucks. I used to move cars for a living. My dad was a trucker, so I've had this badass semi-trucks page for a while, and I'm always randomly posting images to it. So I use something like that. I've got one that's just fun animals and cute animals that we use often. See, look, yeah. I liked my turtle text on that. See the text on that one? I thought the turtle is very appropriate. Keep your straws to yourself.
Especially on a cold day. That turtle has a very special meaning on a cold day.
So we use that. We use I've got a page that's dedicated to like motorcycles.
Yeah.
And kind of the motorcycle industry. So we show off, different motorcycles, race motorcycles, dirt bikes, all kinds of different things. And you can see there too the text that we put on the image was very light. Nothing is impossible. Very simple. It made sense for the photos itself. And then the caption itself was not very long. We kept them short because I typically do on these pages. So we kind of did that for all the different accounts. The other accounts that we use, we've got 2 fitness accounts that I test on. And I actually got these images. I know he's changed now, but Dustin had a company that was making images for the fitness industry, and these are straight from him. So they're a lot better quality probably than the other ones.
Your account, but they're on your account.
Yeah, that's from my account. Other than that, I've got one that's motivational quotes. It's just a motivational, inspirational, silly, kind of page where we just post, inspirational images. And then the last one that we popped up for early was a Paris one because our company, Agorapulse, is based in Paris. I share photos that I find or that I took while I was in Paris over to that account. It's been a fun one to play around with just because I know where everything is pretty much now. I've gone there 3 times. So I get to show off some photos that I took. Otherwise, they just sit on the disc.
But that looked like the Taj Mahal. Was that not the Taj Mahal?
I'm not sure what that was, to be honest with you.
I thought that was the Taj
Mahal.
No,
it's not Taj Mahal. That's, I'm going to say the name wrong. Was it Monte Marte, I believe?
Okay. All right.
I think
that's
cool. I think that's what that is.
Is that in Kansas City? You know what? Forget about it. That's neither here.
It's in Oklahoma.
Yeah, the beautiful Taj Mahal in Oklahoma, ladies and gentlemen. That's so good. All right, so I see a whole bunch of different posting copies. How come you didn't use the same image? For both, and sort of like scatter them, one with text and a week later.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody would notice that, and they would go, "Well, I've already seen this. Why would I engage with this?" So I didn't want to hurt engagement, so I didn't do that. I didn't want to be repetitive on that.
When you chose the images, did you try to find something that would invoke the same emotion? You know what I mean? Because it's really hard to run a test like this.
Yeah, I was trying to. I mean, but like I said, all the images we're posting are very similar in what we already were posting anyway. I've got, for like the animal account, for example, I've got, I don't know, about 1,500 images in a folder that I pull from and post whenever I want to and get it on there for these tests and just in general. And they're all very similar. It's cute animals and, doing different little things. So the images are what we normally post anyway, and that's really key.
All right, really testing. Good. Now, with the text that you put on the images, how are we counting, sort of the results here? I want to make sure that's the question I'm supposed to ask here. What posts and what was the schedule? How often apart did you post these? And I want to hear your answer. But first, I want to say what's up to Brad Friedman logging in, social media manager. Great to see you out there, Brad, and I'm looking forward to our conversation this week. Joey Vitale logging in. Dustin W. Stout is saying, Owen's mic is super quiet. Can we crank up my microphone a little bit? That's the second time I've heard that. Sarah Hecker is saying, I love Paris, and she's saying the domed church is the Sacré-Cœur Montmartre.
Yeah.
So I
said Montmartre. I just don't pronounce it very well.
No, you did. It's just like like Scott's in Waco, Texas. He's I like that.
Hey, if you want it, we can get on the sidetrack. But Waco actually was Waco. H-U-H. It's a Waco Indian. Starts with an H.
No kidding.
H-A-U-C-O. The Waco Indians. Yeah.
No thing. I thought it was like a Fozzie Bear. Waka Waka. No, it's good. Thanks everybody. I appreciate the laughter. David Antonio Wagner Toledano is saying, hey guys, thanks for the shout out. He is he's a marketing agency, and we're just kind of shouting out all of you who are saying what you do out there in the comment section. We got Naomi Nakashima, who is a freelance B2B ghostwriter and writing coach, doing really fun stuff on TikTok, by the way. Rebecca Ward is a social media consultant. Carrie Ray is a content repurposer. We're glad to have you out here. Okay, so Scott, talk to us about what was your schedule for these posts?
Yeah.
And give us sort of the background on that.
Obviously, because we are a part of Agorapulse, I use Agorapulse to schedule all of them. Again, that's making sure we're using the same method for the test for all the posts. That's important. And then you can see there, I alternated text versus no text. Schedule them all at the same time in the morning. And it ended up doing it for 2 weeks. So I've got 7 posts from each account with text, 7 posts from each account without text, kind of on that alternating day schedule. So it gets us 49. I should have done one more to make it 50, but it would have been oddball.
Okay, so
49 with text, 49 without text.
You showed us one image, like one image from each campaign, but you actually posted 7 images from each campaign? Or from each account?
Yeah, 7.
Oh, okay.
7 images from each account with text and without text.
Now, were all the images from like a stock photo company or professionally produced, or were these like iPhone cameras? It said some of them were your pictures, it sounded like?
It's a mix, honestly. Some of them are images I've got. Like I said, I got the fitness images from SoVisual.co when they were doing fitness images. Dustin made those. He's switching around now, so go check out SoVisual.co. You're welcome, Dustin.
Yeah.
Invoice
will be sent soon enough. Yeah.
Right. Some of them were my actual own photos of the trucks or other things, and most of them are images I've got from people. I've a lot of times in some of these test accounts, I go to Fiverr.
Yeah. Okay.
I get a lot of images from there, and so
all right,
that's where I get some of them.
So I'd love to know from the audience, where do you guys get your images from? Let us know in the comment section below. Let this be a resource for all of us when it comes to grabbing images. Most of what I post comes from my cell phone, from my mobile phone, right? I heard this thing the other day. It was like, you don't need to call it a cell phone anymore. It's just a phone, which I think is probably probably true. But like, that's a throwback. See, it's a throwback to my very first, flip phone. In fact, what was your very first phone? Tell me in the comment section. My very first phone was a flip phone. It was like this clamshell, And remember, it was so cool back then to be like, hang on a second, and then you'd kind of do. And it was all so cool until that phone would just fall apart in your hand. But let us know, what was your first phone in the comment section below. All right, so Scott, you've got these 7 images on 7 different accounts. They're all going out through Agorapulse for 2 weeks. Talk to us about the data that you gathered. What were you measuring? What was the metric for success? How do we pick a winner?
Yeah, and my first phone was a Sony Ericsson. It was blue, by the way, and it wasn't a flip phone.
I remember that phone.
So yeah, everybody had that one. And so what we measure, we're looking at reach, which is typically the most important thing we look at on organic tests, just to kind of see if we can sway the algorithm at all. But we're looking at reach. We also measured likes, and we measured comments, because we want to see, did any of these different, these different types, did they invoke a different sort of response? So those are the 3 data points that we looked at for all the accounts. And then we average them all together to kind of come up with, our conclusion that we compare them to.
Okay, so we're definitely looking at percentages here, because I noticed that one of your accounts has like 3,500 followers, but then another one has like 600 followers. Do you think that accounts for any of the increase or decrease in engagement? Is the type of page that it is, like a motivational quote? Is the follower of a motivational page more likely to engage or to double tap and move on, right? Hang on, we're not there yet. Do you think that the audience?
Oh, look at that!
Yeah,
don't look.
Wash your eyes, folks. Wash your eyes. That's how we do it with
science.
With science over here. So, do you think that the audience matters at all? Is one type of audience? I find that the business audience, for example, is less likely to engage on a post, whereas sort of animal posts, people get all into it. They tell stories about their dogs and whatnot. Do you feel like that matters at all, Scott?
I think it does matter some, obviously. There's some that are just for fun. There's celebrities and there's business accounts. So I think it just depends on what you are, people. But if I follow businesses on Instagram, and I think I looked at a study the other day. I think 80% of Instagram users follow at least one business. And so people are following businesses on Instagram. It just depends on the type of content you're putting out and being consistent with that. So, yeah, some of these accounts tend to be more entertainment-wise. I'm not selling anything on them. Now, I can run ads with them. I can do other things with them. But I'm not hard selling all the time, which I don't think you should do on Instagram posts all the time anyway. You can. So it might be a little bit different. But the key here is we're averaging these all together. Okay. To kind of get a number and then compare those numbers together to get a percentage, because it doesn't matter if it's one like versus 2. It's what's the percentage difference, because then everybody watching can go, okay, this should apply to me. We can show you some data that will show you that it does, and so that's what you want to look at, is the percentage differences.
Okay, so that's a big one right there in the percentage difference. Now, Scott, we've got a question from Brad Friedman, who is asking about the caption or the description text. And Brad, I'm going to summarize your question because I missed this part too. I might have been into the comment section, but what about the posting copy, right? So when you post on Instagram, you post the image, but then you have a place to write text in. Now, I know you didn't use hashtags in the text, but how much text did you use, if any text at all?
It was really short. Because we did another test a while back about short versus long. I kept it to, probably under 75 characters. A real short, quick. I tend to be short and quick on these accounts anyway. Okay. When it comes to the post, so I kind of, like I said, I'm keeping it as close to what our posts are before the test. That way, it's we're not changing up what the audience is used to seeing. Like Mitch said, I would suggest that's all about the audience. Yeah, but the audience also expects something from you. If you pivot completely, they're like, whoa, what is this? Yeah. So we made sure in the test to kind of just give the audience what they're used to seeing. Is kind of where my thought process is.
All right, well, let's go right into the conclusion then, but I want you guys to stick around because we have something really fun coming up after the conclusion. Tell us what you found. What were the results of the test? You ran all these pictures, like 49 pictures over 2 weeks, multiple different accounts, controlling for hashtags and ads and all that kind of stuff. What did you learn, and what can we teach our audience today based on this study?
Yeah, according to the data that we got from our test across the 7 different accounts, we actually saw 14.14% higher reach without text, over 39% more likes, and a little over 2% more comments on the Instagram photos that did not have text overlaid on them. So our hypothesis was correct on this. And yeah, you get one right every once in a while. I don't think... Yeah, thank you. I don't think my wife is watching, but I'll pull that out. I am right every once in a while.
Yeah, when
this
she'll
does
let
go
you know.
Yeah, 25, almost 26 years of marriage. She lets me know really quick.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And so, I mean, yeah, and I think Dustin said images with text are working better for him. It was interesting on my fitness accounts. They contradicted one another. One account did better with text. One account did better without text.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it was real important to make sure we've got multiple accounts across multiple industries and then add them together and get an average to kind of see where we're at. Because if you just test on one account, you may, get the wrong results because your audience is so different.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it was interesting for us to see where the data laid.
So do you remember, first of all, I want to say what's up to my Auntie Lola, logging in from Wairika, California. Great to have you here, Lola. So what accounts were they? What accounts were had the skewing results? I'd love to know from you. Like, did the animal campaign, have more on the no text, or do you remember your statistics at all there?
I don't have the exact statistics in front of me, but I'm looking at the motivational quote page, which only has been images with text on it. That's all it's ever been, basically. The images without text did better on it, which I was really shocked by because that's what that account is used to. It's only seen without text. So maybe that kind of, they went, oh, there's something different. So we did a little bit better. And like I said, go ahead.
That's really interesting. Can we show that picture again, Melissa? Because here's something that I think that I struggle with this greatly, okay, in my own accounts, okay, is look at the name of the campaign here. It's positive quotes and feelings. So it says quotes, and you've got one image with no quote, and then an image with a quote, and the image with the quote did better. And I think that's probably an example on that particular shot. Yeah, and that to me is sort of just like an example of serving the audience. They signed up for quotes. And yes, that image of the waterfall was great, but they signed up for quotes. And so when they get a quote, more people are likely to respond. And, Sean Cannell, who's a video marketer guy that we really, really love over here, said something like, you should never upload content that is not what your audience followed you for.
Exactly.
Right? And that might have something to do with it there. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the audience. What type of content are you posting for your business, or if you want to share from your client business, we would love to hear from you there. So Scott, we've got, first of all, if you're just joining us like Mitch Jackson is, we're talking about which does better on Instagram, images with text or no text, and we are talking about that on the show live. But we've got a really great conversation happening in the comment section on our first cell phone. So I love hearing that from you guys as well. I think it's something we can all sort of relate to on the show. So, Scott, I want to hear from you. Like, how can we use this in our marketing? Knowing what we know here now, how do we use this in our own marketing? But first, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what that sound is. It's time for Meme It, the only interactive contest on Facebook Live where you take our image, add your caption, and then vote on the best meme. This is a new segment that we've added into the show to help you get engaged. And if you want to play, then all you have to do is type 5 into the comment section right now and join us in the Social Media Lab Lounge. We are going to show you an image on your screen right now. We want you to screenshot that image or join us in the group and download that image and create your very own meme. So let's see the image from, do we have last week's image? The t-shirt? Last week, our winner was Naomi Nakashima, and she took our meme and made this meme out of it, Do You Even Science? So we took the meme, we put it on a t-shirt, and we sent that t-shirt right over to her. Now, you can get a t-shirt or a mug if you win the contest. Let's show the image for this week. The image for this week is not, we don't have it. So type 5 into the comment section now. Join us in the Social Media Lab group, and you'll get the image there, and you can play along with us.
I've got the instructions, and the image will get posted in our group at top of the hour. So you can get in there and see it. I've got it scheduled to post in there.
Awesome. So type 5. That was well worth it. Wow, a lot of real build up there for kind of. So we did it, folks. All right, Scott, so let's bring it back around. So we're talking about Instagram photos without text perform better on Instagram. What does this mean for marketers? Should we only be posting images without text?
I don't think you should only post one way all the time, because you're going to, like we mentioned earlier in the show, if you do things the same way all the time, you become like Sears and you go bankrupt because everybody's bored with you now.
Yeah.
But I do think Instagram users in general, they don't like gimmicky stuff. They want to see natural images. The whole idea of Instagram was to post what's going on, where you're at, what are you doing. Mm-hmm. So I think in the feed, and this was a feed only test, mm-hmm. I think people want to see what's going on without the text. The text feels you've worked too hard. You're marketing typically at that point. You and I as a user, if I'm just a dad taking a picture of my kid, I'm typically not taking the time to put text on top of my kid's picture.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing the picture of my kid up. So I think you want to lean towards mainly photos, but you should be testing with text and without text. And I would recommend, on your accounts, give it some time. Maybe you do 2 a week for a month, and then kind of compare it to your 2 per week without, and kind of see what your audience wants. Because like Mitch Jackson has said, and like Dustin Stout has said, it's all about your audience. So your audience may prefer one way or the other, and you need to know that. Don't just take our word for it. You need to go out there and test on your own. But what we're seeing from our data, and it was statistically significant, we use Neil Patel's A/B split tester, and I highly recommend using it. It's so simple. I compare reach versus likes to kind of get a conversion rate. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it is statistically significant, the data that we pulled, that if we were to keep running these tests on the same accounts again, we're going to get the same results. And so, but go out there and test it on your own. I would highly suggest you test it and kind of see, but do it more than just one. The worst thing is a lot of people, they'll post once and go, it failed. I'm not going to do it again, and then they're missing out. And so you've got to do multiple tests to make sure.
What about like these apps with text, like they automatically, like I think Word Swag is one of these apps. Are these apps that we should be deleting from our phone, or are these apps that we should have on our phone ready to add text? And should we, do you think, Scott, like, maybe you add an image that you think is going to perform extraordinarily well, and you post it, and maybe it's kind of like wonky, right? It just doesn't do well. Can you repost that ad again? Can you add it to like Word Swag? And again, we're not like trying to promote Word Swag, but like these apps, add some text to it and then repost it. Do you think that that's something that we should get?
I mean, as a business, I think it's worth testing to see that. Yeah, you might post one and it bombs and say, okay, let's try this again. I don't know that I'd want to have the same image back to back. I would delete it probably and do it again. I don't think you'll get hurt in the algorithm if you do that. So yeah, I mean, I think there's apps like Canva. There's people have Photoshop, Adobe, all different kinds of apps on their phone that they
what
can
do
do
you mean,
text
you people?
With. You
no,
people.
I'm kidding.
I don't have any, honestly. I think I have one, maybe. I do most of it. I'm old school. I do everything on desktop, and I'm a PC guy, not Apple. And speaking of old school, I'm watching my watch party on my personal profile. Like 2 or 3 buddies that I played high school football with have popped on there, and some of them I haven't seen in like 20 years. They're probably wondering, what in the hell is Scott doing now?
Yeah.
With this orange Cheeto wig on. So I appreciate you, Charles and Steven and Justin Hall and Matt Priest, Kevin Fisk. Appreciate you guys. And our local news guy, Chris Radcliffe from Channel 6 in Waco, or Temple area, hopped on. Appreciate you watching.
Chris, if you ever need a media expert, I will fly to Waco, Texas. Waco, Texas.
Waco.
Waco. You know, and I will
Or
fly out
I'm
there.
here. So, you know.
Dang it, did you just CB me on the air? You did. Well, look, that's all the time we have for today, folks. I'm sorry that we couldn't show you the meme image today, but type 5 in the comment section, and our chatbot will respond to you unless you're watching on a watch party, in which case we'll reach out to you personally. Join us there for Meme of the Week, and we'll see you guys next week. Big show next week, so don't miss out. We'll see you then.
Thank you for watching the Social Media Lab, brought to you by Agorapulse, where we use science to crack the social media code. Join us live on Facebook and YouTube to find out what's working and what's not working in social media.